This is America in the Morning from Westwood One. Good morning, I'm John Trout. It's Tuesday, December 23rd, 2025. Here's what's coming up on America in the Morning.
President Trump introduces the so-called Golden Fleet.
They'll be the fastest, the biggest.
I'm Clayton Neville.
When it comes to all those photos of so many people with Jeffrey Epstein, President Trump responds,
So everybody was friendly with this guy.
I'm Richard Johnson.
CBS News chief stands by a report they did not air on 60 Minutes.
On Wall Street, stocks are coming off a winning day as investors wait for economic data this morning. I'm Jessica Ettinger.
Bourbon maker Jim Beam halting production at one of its distilleries in Kentucky for at least a year. I'm Julie Walker.
Remembering the victims of the Brown University shooting.
AAA estimates 122 million Americans will travel between this past Saturday and New Year's Day. I'm Mike Hempen.
All ahead on America in the Morning. At the White House, President Trump unveils a new class of Navy battleships, describing them as a superior warfighting vessel to replace an old and tired and obsolete U.S. fleet. Correspondent Clayton Neville reports the Golden Fleet of ships will also be named after Trump.
President Trump says the series of warships will officially be named Trump-Class.
These are the best in the world. They'll be the fastest, the biggest, and by far 100 times more powerful than any battleship ever built.
What's been deemed the Golden Fleet by the president is said to include the largest, fastest, and most powerful battleships the U.S. has ever built.
We're desperately in need of ships. Our ships some of them have gotten old and tired and obsolete.
The president said that will soon change.
We have lasers where you aim the laser at a target, it just wipes it out. We're going to have, there'll be the most sophisticated lasers in the world, and the most sophisticated laser in the world will be on the battleships that we're building.
The president expects to meet with defense contractors in Florida after the holiday.
And we're going to be working very hard with companies, but we're also going to be penalizing companies that aren't doing a good job. For instance, when they built the Ford, Gerald Ford, the cost overruns were ridiculous. That was done in Norfolk, Virginia. We're going to be talking about that with that company. The cost overruns were out of control. We're going to be discussing production schedules. We're going to be discussing CapEx spending. We'll be discussing the pay to executives where they're making $45 and $50 million a year and not being able to build quickly. They're going to make that kind of money. They have to build quickly.
The announcement comes as the administration continues to deploy Navy ships to target alleged Venezuelan drug boats in the Caribbean. The president said that the U.S. plans on about 25 new vessels and looks to expedite the process. He said that we need the ships now, not in 10 to 15 years. I'm Clayton Neville.
More Democrats and victims of Jeffrey Epstein are calling on Congress to push back against the Justice Department's piecemeal release of files related to Epstein, which comes as President Trump is sympathizing for one of his predecessors who's in those files. That predecessor now demanding anything about him in the Epstein files immediately be released to the public. The latest from correspondent Rich Johnson.
President Trump says it's a shame that a lot of people who never really knew Epstein but may have run into him long enough to be photographed are being tarnished.
Everybody was friendly with this guy.
Speaking in Florida yesterday, the current president expressed sympathy with the former president, Bill Clinton, who appears in many photos with Epstein.
I like Bill Clinton. I've always gotten along with Bill Clinton. I've been nice to him. He's been nice to me. We've always gotten along. Respect him. I hate to see photos come out of him, but this is what the Democrats, mostly Democrats, and a couple of bad Republicans are asking for.
As for what Clinton is asking for, it's immediate full disclosure. A spokesperson issued a statement calling on Attorney General Pam Bondi to immediately release any remaining material relating to Clinton. The statement also says the way the Justice Department is releasing material makes one thing clear: someone or something is being protected. So, is this a cover-up?
We're getting close to, not a cover-up yet, but we're getting close to showing that the Justice Department is very concerned about what they have.
The opinion of former federal prosecutor Gene Rossi, who says the material released so far is only about 1% of what the Justice Department has.
It's just a comedy of errors in the way they brought out the 1%. God help us how they're going to bring out the other 99%.
Rossi's comments courtesy of CNN. Also frustrated with the slow release of material, including hundreds of pages that are completely blacked out, is Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer. He says he'll force a Senate vote on suing Justice for the full release. In the House, 2 lawmakers are preparing an inherent contempt proceeding against Bondi. Continuing to monitor it all, Epstein survivors like Danielle Bensky, who describes her feelings as complex.
I feel horribly frustrated at the way this release has gone.
On the other hand, there's a sense of vindication.
Because we've been called a hoax so many times that actually at this point, the public now gets to see we are in fact not a hoax.
Bensky's comments courtesy of NBC News. I'm Rich Johnson.
Controversy at the CBS television network hits a reporter against the editor-in-chief after these messages. Back now on America in the Morning. There's been some flooding in California. Let's get an update on the West Coast. Here's AccuWeather.com meteorologist LaTroy Thornton.
A significant rain event lasting through the remainder of this week begins with rain, heavy at times, close to the northern California coast, and snow through the high ground, but some showers do arrive into the central and southern California coastal areas as the day progresses, before becoming more widespread through tonight. From tonight through Friday, this extended rain event brings waves of downpours that are expected to produce both urban and flash flooding, as well as landslides, with windy conditions that may take down trees and power lines. The northern and central California mountains above 6,000 feet have feet of snow in store for this week, with at least an inch or two of rain over all but the deserts and the far northeastern part of the state, but the highest amounts of up to a foot of rain from just north of Redding through the Sierra Nevada foothills, as well as along the coast to the north of San Francisco. To the north of there, rain showers fill in for western Washington and Oregon, with snow mixing in from central Oregon into western Montana. It's looking cooler but dry to the east of there through the upper Midwest, but areas from around South Dakota into the southwest and toward the Gulf Coast have a rather warm air mass in place for today. Heading farther east, a storm whose center crosses from Ontario, Canada into Quebec today will be able to tap into enough cold air to maintain some widespread snow of at least 1 to 3 inches over parts of the region from western New York to northern New Jersey and through New England, with at least 3 to 6 inches for much of southern and western Maine, where the snowfall may be enhanced by a part of the storm becoming better organized to the south and east of Cape Cod through the day today. In Kansas City, look for plenty of sunshine today and a high of 58. For Nashville, it's looking cloudy instead with a spotty shower, the high managing 64 later today. That's the nation's weather. I'm AccuWeather.com meteorologist LaTroy Thornton.
Follow us wherever you get your podcasts. Search America in the Morning in your favorite listening app. In Rhode Island, a Brown University custodian says he reported to campus authorities that he saw the shooting suspect casing buildings over several weeks. And a friend of the alleged gunman recounted to the media that the shooter hated the school and the city of Providence, Rhode Island. Meanwhile, in Alabama, Lisa Dwyer reports on a funeral for one of the victims in the Brown University shooting.
Hundreds of Alabama funeral goers mourned a Brown University sophomore killed in a recent campus shooting attack. Friends and family members gathered at the Cathedral Church of the Advent in Birmingham.
Why have we come together from many places and many settings, some from far away? We've come to honor Ella Cook, to thank God for her light and her life.
19-year-old Ella Cook and another student were killed December 13th when a gunman opened fire during a study session. Authorities believe a former graduate student carried out that attack. He was later found dead in New Hampshire. Cook was studying French, math, and economics at Brown, where she also served as vice president of the College Republicans. I'm Lisa Dwyer.
The CBS television program 60 Minutes finds itself deep in controversy after the show, at the order of CBS editor-in-chief Barry Weiss, pulled a segment at the last minute involving deportees taken to the Sikot prison in El Salvador. The move drew a rebuke from the correspondent, who reported the segment, who accused her own network of blocking the story for political reasons. The lone Democrat FCC commissioner called CBS action deeply alarming. While the segment did not air on 60 Minutes in the U.S., some Canadian viewers were able to see it on the streaming platform owned by Toronto-based Global TV, And those viewers wound up sharing clips of the report on platforms including Reddit and Blue Sky for the world to watch. When we return on America in the Morning, the popularity of BOPUS, buy online, pick up in store, after these messages. The Business Report is sponsored by Gusto. Gusto is a simple online payroll and benefits tool built for small businesses. Learn more at gusto.com/radio. Here's CNBC's Jessica Ettinger.
Wall Street opens this morning after a winning day for stocks to start off this Christmas week. No trading on Christmas Day Thursday, and only a half day of trading tomorrow for Christmas Eve. The markets will close tomorrow at 1 p.m. Eastern. It's kind of quiet for investors.
We're in that part of the year where no news might be good news for stocks. We'll see.
CNBC's Mike Santoli. Gold hit its 52nd record high close of the year yesterday. Silver at a record high close for the 15th time this year yesterday. Platinum hit its highest level since 2008. President Trump has halted a number of wind projects, including coastal Virginia offshore wind, the largest wind power project in the United States. Americans shopping for Christmas have discovered store apps in a big way this year, especially right now with Christmas so close. BOPUS is the friend. Buy online and pick up in store.
Last minute shoppers are flocking to the apps for in-store pickup. So if you're a last minute shopper and you want to make sure you get the product, a really good way is to use the Walmart app, use the Target app, select in-store pickup, and that way you don't have to risk the delivery times at this point.
Roth Capital's Bill Kirk on CNBC. And wow, he says Target, which has been struggling all year, may actually be finding some success with BOPUS.
Walmart's still very, very strong. Walmart's been strong for a while. It was very strong last year as well. But Target is really the one that's picked up in the last few weeks. It's done much better, and it's reached the number 3 spot in total app downloads, a spot it hasn't held at all this year.
Meantime, National Retail Federation head Matt Shea says this past weekend's Super Saturday numbers were good.
There's always a little bit of a lull between Thanksgiving and close to the end of December. And we see a big pickup at the end, as we did this last weekend, Super Saturday. There's still some shopping to do.
And here's Telsey Retail Advisory head Dana Telsey on CNBC.
You basically had a Super Saturday. Definitely a pretty good Saturday. Very good traffic. You need it in order to make the season.
The number one Christmas gift this year, again, in the Numerator Holiday Survey, gift cards. Clothing comes in second, toys and games third most purchased holiday gift. On today's watch list, we get the latest on economic growth, plus the delayed durable goods orders numbers. Things made to last a long time, like washing machines and airplanes. Walmart's deadline for standard shipping to have something delivered by Christmas with no extra fee is midday today. Today is the 7th biggest shopping day of the year.
With just 2 days till Christmas, CNBC's Jessica Ettinger. Bourbon drying up in Kentucky. When America in the Morning continues after these messages. Welcome back. You're with America in the Morning. The future of bourbon becoming a bit murky as the popular spirit maker Jim Beam closes a Kentucky distillery for a year. Correspondent Julie Walker explains.
Bourbon maker Jim Beam halting production at one of its distilleries in Kentucky for at least a year starting in 2026 as the whiskey industry navigates tariffs from the Trump administration and slumping demand for a product that needs years of aging before it's ready. Jim Beam says the decision at its Claremont location gives the company time to invest in improvements at the distillery. The bottling and warehouse at the site will remain open along with the visitor center and restaurant. The company's larger distillery in Boston, Kentucky will continue to operate. Whiskey makers are dealing with back and forth arguments over tariffs in Europe and in Canada. A boycott started after the Trump administration suggested annexing the country into the U.S. I'm Julie Walker.
We are in the midst of one of the busiest travel weeks of the year, with travelers taking to the roads, rails, and skies for Christmas and New Year. And this year, it's expected to be one of the busiest ever. Correspondent Mike Hempen reports.
AAA estimates 122 million Americans will travel between this past Saturday and New Year's Day. That's nearly 3 million more than the record set a year ago.
We only look at domestic travel when we're talking about the forecast, and more than 122 million Americans traveling is going to set a new record. We keep building on previous records over the holidays. Then things ramp back up post-Christmas with people coming back home and the New Year's crowd that wants to travel for New Year's Eve. So you're going to see travel pick back up New Year's Eve week for people who are trying to be somewhere to ring in 2026.
AAA Travel Vice President Stacy Barber says people have a desire to travel, whether it's returning to their hometowns or going to new destinations. AAA expects about 110 million people to travel by car, with another 8 million taking domestic flights. The number of people taking flights would also set a record, despite domestic round-trip flights costing an average of 7% more this year than last year. I'm Mike Hempen.
America in the Morning for Tuesday, December 23rd, 2025 is produced by Jeff McKay. I'm John Trout. This is Westwood One. This is America in the Morning from Westwood One. I'm John Trout. Coming up this half hour.
Leaders in Greenland and Denmark reacting to a new U.S. special envoy. I'm Clayton Neville.
The Trump administration is pausing leases for 5 large-scale offshore wind projects. Marcela Sanchez, Washington.
The White House view on Ukraine is getting dimmer.
We need to bring the killing to a stop.
I'm Joan Jones.
Australia changing laws following the Bondi Beach mass shooting. A victim expelled from school after fake pictures of her are passed around. And Robert Workman has the day in sports.
Barry Manilow will have surgery to remove a cancerous spot on his left lung. I'm Haya Panchwani.
Back after these messages. Back now on America in the Morning. Many will see a white Christmas as snow continues today for some. Here's AccuWeather.com meteorologist LaTroy Thornton.
A storm will continue to slowly strengthen as it heads from the northern Great Lakes through the northeast today, bringing snow for some. Storm total snowfall from last night through tonight should reach at least 1 to 3 inches across a swath from western New York and northeastern Pennsylvania through far northern New Jersey, northern and western Connecticut, even near or just to the northwest of Boston, and all points to the north of there through New York and New England. The highest totals of at least 3 to 6 inches will be more likely in the higher terrain, such as the Catskills and Adirondacks of New York, as well as the Green and White Mountains of northern New England, also extending through the southwestern half or so of Maine. The warmer side of that storm brings rain from southern New Jersey and Pennsylvania southward into the mid-Atlantic coast, with some areas of drizzle for Ohio and northern West Virginia, but showers southward from there to Tennessee, Kentucky, and portions of Arkansas, more related to a push of warm and moist air right out of the Gulf. Warm conditions are also in store to the south of there, near and along the Gulf Coast, and back westward into much of the plains once again today, even toward the Four Corners states, as cooler air pushes back into the upper Midwest instead behind a cold front. Areas to the west of there should be dry until closer to the Rockies, with a mix of rain and snow from far western Montana into central Oregon, but rain on either side of that zone, including southern Idaho and the Pacific Northwest coast. For California, a rather wet rest of this week kicks off with rain, some heavy at times near the coastline, and mountain snow over mainly the northern part of the state, but showers push on shore for coastal central and southern California too, ahead of what looks to be days of rain to come. That's the weather across America. I'm AccuWeather.com meteorologist LaTroy Thornton.
Follow us wherever you get your podcasts. Just search America in the Morning in your favorite listening app. President Trump's appointment of a special envoy for Greenland drew an angry response from Denmark and reignited its concerns about U.S. efforts to control the strategic Arctic territory. Correspondent Clayton Neville says despite the rhetoric coming out of Europe, the president insists Louisiana Governor Jeff Landry is the right person to lead the administration's strategic plan.
The move by President Trump to appoint Louisiana Governor Jeff Landry as a U.S. Special Envoy to Greenland comes as President Trump has for months floated the idea of the U.S. controlling that region.
We need Greenland for national security.
The president pointed out in remarks this week that Greenland has a very small population and needs the U.S.
And I don't know, they say Denmark, but Denmark has spent no money. They have no military protection. They say that Denmark was there 300 years ago or something with a boat. Well, we were there with boats too, I'm sure.
The president said that with Special Envoy Landry, the administration can work it all out.
But he felt very strongly we need it for we need Greenland for national security. Not for minerals. We have so many sites for minerals and oil and everything. We have more oil than any other country in the world. We need Greenland for national security.
In reaction to this week's announcement, Landry said that the special envoy position would be, quote, a volunteer position to make Greenland a part of the U.S. In a joint statement, leaders of Denmark and Greenland stuck by their disinterest in being controlled by the United States. They said, quote, you cannot annex another country, not even with an argument about international security. The statement continued, Greenland belongs to the Greenlanders, and the U.S. shall not take over Greenland. I'm Clayton Neville.
Australian police documents reveal that a man accused of killing 15 people at Sydney's Bondi Beach had conducted firearms training with his father. Correspondent Charles de Ledesma reports that Australia's government is fast-tracking new laws aimed at criminalizing hate speech and targeting guns in a country that already has one of the strictest gun laws.
An accused gunman in Sydney's Bondi Beach massacre has been charged with 59 offences, including 15 charges of murder, as hundreds of mourners gather in Sydney to begin funerals for the victims. Two shooters slaughtered 15 people in an anti-Semitic mass shooting targeting Jews celebrating Hanukkah at Bondi Beach. All those killed by the gunmen, who've been identified so far, were Jewish.
Today I'm announcing a significant number of additional actions to build on the plan. Firstly, the Attorney-General and Minister for Home Affairs will develop a package of legislative reforms to crack down on those who spread hate, division and radicalisation.
As probes unfold, Australia faces a social and political reckoning about anti-Semitism, gun control and whether police protection for Jews at events such are sufficient for the threats they face.
Firstly, the Attorney-General and Minister for Home Affairs will develop a package of legislative reforms to crack down on those who spread hate, division and radicalisation. I, of course, acknowledge that more could have been done, and I accept my responsibility for the part in that as Prime Minister of Australia. But what I also do is accept my responsibility to lead the nation and unite the nation.
The documents, made public following Naveed Akram's video court appearance from a Sydney hospital where he's been treated for an abdominal injury, make clear the two men recorded footage justifying the meticulously planned attack. Officers had wounded Akram at the scene of the December 14 shootings and killed his father, Sajid Akram. The Akrams had begun their attack by throwing 4 improvised explosive devices towards a crowd celebrating an annual Jewish event at Bondi Beach. But the devices failed to explode, the documents say. Police describe the devices as 3 aluminium pipe bombs and a tennis ball bomb containing an explosive gunpowder and steel ball bearings. None detonated, but police describe them as viable IEDs. I'm Charles de Ledesma.
Several Louisiana middle schoolers shared AI-generated nude images of one of their female classmates, but it was the 13-year-old girl who was expelled after a fight over those pictures. Details from correspondent Julie Walker.
A 13-year-old girl in Louisiana was in school when she says she found out some of the boys there made deep-fake AI-generated nude photos of her and other classmates using their faces.
She was told earlier that day that it had AI-generated nude photos being floated around school. She approached the staff, principal, guidance counselor, SRO, notified them of what was happening. They basically brushed it off as hearsay and rumors. End of the day, placed her on the bus with the boy that was making the photos, and they got into a physical altercation.
Her father, Joseph Daniels.
She went to the staff for help. Nobody believed her. She was bullied and picked on all day about the pictures, the images that were floating around about her body. She was embarrassed. Of course, she said she was crying throughout the day, in and out. And then she just felt like she was victimized multiple times by the pictures and by the school not believing her, and then by them putting her on a bus and then expelling her for her actions.
She got into a fight on the bus with the boy she accused of circulating the pictures, was suspended, then expelled. The school in Lafourche Parish says it investigated but could not find the photos. The sheriff also investigated and did charge 2 boys with sharing explicit images. I'm Julie Walker.
According to a recent study by a nonprofit child advocacy group, 1 in 17 children nationwide have fallen victim to AI deepfake pornography. In Louisiana, one of the boys is facing 10 counts of unlawful dissemination of images created by AI. The local parish sheriff said at least 8 students and 2 adults were featured in those AI images, and more arrests are possible. When we return on America in the Morning, the Trump administration continues its pushback against offshore wind projects after these messages. Welcome back. You're with America in the Morning. Several states are considering suing the Trump administration after some offshore wind projects were placed on hold over alleged national security risks. Correspondent Marcela Sanchez reports.
The Trump administration is pausing leases for 5 large-scale offshore wind projects under construction along the East Coast, citing unspecified national security risks identified by the Pentagon. The Interior Department says unclassified U.S. government reports have long found that the movement of massive turbine blades and the highly reflective towers create radar interference known as clutter. The pause is effective immediately and gives the Interior Department time to work with the Defense Department and other agencies to evaluate possible ways to reduce the risks posed by the projects. The projects affected include Vineyard Wind in Massachusetts, Revolution Wind in Rhode Island and Connecticut, Coastal Virginia Offshore Wind, and Sunrise Wind and Empire Wind in New York. Marcela Sanchez, Washington.
Optimism is waning for Ukraine's success in fighting off Russia as Vice President J.D. Vance doesn't appear to be holding out hope that Ukraine can hold on to certain parts of its homeland. Correspondent Joan Jones reports.
Just as negotiating teams from the U.S., Russia, Ukraine, and Europe descended on Miami over the weekend for another round of peace talks, conservative leaders were rallying in Phoenix for America Fest. Wrapping up the weekend-long conference, Vice President J.D. Vance told the audience that the U.S. has spent enough money shoring up Ukraine's finances.
We help older Americans in retirement, including by ending taxes on Social Security, because we believe in honoring your father and mother rather than shipping all of their money off to Ukraine.
Vance also told conservative British news and opinion website Unheard that the White House will continue negotiating, but he can't say with confidence we'll see a peaceful resolution. That may mean Russia keeps some of the land it's already conquered. That's not new for the now vice president. Exactly 2 years ago, he sounded the same concerns in an interview with CNN.
We are getting to a place where we're going to be functionally on the hook to pay for Ukrainian pensioners, to rebuild the entire country. Right. We need to bring the killing to a stop, and that's what American leadership should be doing.
The Council on Foreign Relations estimates the Biden administration sent Ukraine $175 billion in emergency funding since Russia's invasion. Meantime, Ukraine's armed forces struck deep inside Russian territory Monday, and a high-ranking lieutenant in the Russian army was killed in a car bomb blast. Russian forces continue attacking Ukraine's energy infrastructure. I'm Joan Jones.
A lawsuit has been filed over funding for the Consumer Protection Bureau. Details from correspondent Lisa Dwyer.
A coalition of 21 attorneys generals from Democratic-led states have sued the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau and its director. They argue that the White House decision to withhold funds from the agency is unconstitutional. The lawsuit centers on the Trump administration's claim that the CFPB can only be funded by the Federal Reserve's profits. The Federal Reserve has been running at a loss since 2022. The Democratic attorneys general argue that the CFPB was lawfully created by Congress and must be funded. They say defunding the agency will hinder efforts to stop predatory lenders and scammers. I'm Lisa Dwyer.
Google parent company Alphabet makes a major move to power its AI ambitions. The new old tech guy, Chuck Palm, brings us that story.
Google parent company Alphabet is buying Intersect Power for $4.75 billion in cash and debt. Intersect develops renewable projects for solar, wind, and batteries and is tied directly to a new data center campus. This lets Alphabet sidestep overloaded public grids and lock in clean power for its AI generation, with projects spinning up in late 2026. In another bold tech buyout, media conglomerate Paramount Skydance has upped its hostile bid for Warner Bros. Discovery to over $108 billion. This is backed by a personal $40.4 billion equity guarantee from Oracle founder Larry Ellison. This comes days after the Trump Media and Technology Group announced a $6 billion all-stock merger with TAE Technologies, a leader in nuclear fusion research. It's no coincidence that media and AI are closing mega deals at the end of this year, as the 2026 AI boom is lacking real power, and the presidential push for $500 billion worth of data centers is already lagging behind. From solar and wind tie-ins to fusion ambitions, the urgent push for independent power sources grows while regulators watch closely, but the message is clear. Whoever solves the energy crunch wins the AI race. Follow thenewOldTechGuy.com for more. I'm Chuck Palm.
In with sports this Tuesday, here's America in the Morning's Robert Workman.
Monday Night Football to wrap up NFL Week 16. The 49ers overpowered the Colts 48-27, a career-high 5 touchdown passes for Brock Purdy.
You know, as an offense, just having a standard and trying to play with that standard and with the guys that we have out there, man. So to go out and execute like we did and to keep doing that.
Phillip Rivers had 2 TD tosses early for Indy, but his third went the wrong way. D. Winters with a 74-yard pick 6 in the fourth quarter. The Colts loss doesn't end their playoff hopes, but it does clinch AFC berths for the Jaguars, the Chargers, and the Bills. Just 2 weeks to play, NFL Week 17 kicks off with a Christmas Day triple header. Likely to be home for the holidays, Steelers receiver DK Metcalf suspended by the NFL for 2 games without pay after initiating a physical confrontation with a fan during Sunday's game in Detroit. And it looks like the Chiefs will be moving to a new home, a domed stadium in Kansas, expected to be ready for the 2031 season. NBA, the Thunder rolled over the Grizzlies 119-103, 31 for Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Nuggets scored the first 19 points of the night and cruised past the Jazz, a triple-double for Nikola Jokic. Pistons beat the Blazers. Pelicans down the Mavericks for their 5th straight. They had only won 3 of their first 25 games this year. Cavaliers snap a 3-game skid as they swatted the Hornets. Celtics rally from down 20 to upend the Pacers, and the Warriors whack the Magic. And baseball, the Red Sox and Cardinals are dealing again. A month after right-hander Sonny Gray went to Boston for 2 young pitchers, first baseman Wilson Contreras is on his way to Fenway for 3 more young arms. That's Tuesday Sports.
With today's holiday, get set to air out your grievances toward friends and loved ones when America in the Morning continues after these messages. A famous singing star announced he's going to have to take a little time off to battle cancer. Correspondent Haya Panjwani reports.
Barry Manilow will have surgery to remove a cancerous spot on his left lung. He's also rescheduled his upcoming concerts in January. The singer announced on Instagram that doctors caught it so early thanks to an MRI in the wake of a long bout with bronchitis. Manilow expects he will not need chemo or radiation, just chicken soup and I Love Lucy reruns. His representative said it's a stage 1 tumor and that the surgery would take place in late December. Manilow plans to return to action with Valentine's weekend concerts beginning February 12th in Las Vegas. His arena concerts will resume February 28th in Florida. I'm Haya Panjwani.
James Ransone, the actor best known for portraying Ziggy on HBO's The Wire and for his role in the military miniseries Generation Kill, has died. The Los Angeles County Medical Examiner's Office confirmed in online records that Ransone died by suicide. He built a wide-ranging career across television and film, often playing volatile, troubled, or emotionally complex characters. He also had his own personal struggles with addiction. Ranson, who also appeared in Spike Lee films Inside Man and Red Hook Summer, was 46 years old. Shifting gears, it's the tongue-in-cheek holiday for those disconnected from the holiday season. Entertainment reporter Kevin Carr reports that today is what's become known as Festivus, a day to celebrate for the rest of us.
If you're getting worn down by the commercialization of Christmas, a fun diversion is to celebrate Festivus.
It's a stupid holiday my father invented.
Festivus began in the home of television writer Dan O'Keefe in the 1960s. O'Keefe later incorporated some of its elements in the 1987 Seinfeld episode The Strike, available to watch on Netflix.
A new holiday was born. A Festivus for the rest of us.
In the episode, Frank Costanza, the father of Jerry's friend George, explains to Kramer how the holiday works. In the context of the show, it began when Frank got into a fight with another Christmas shopper. Frank was inspired to bring the feeling home.
And at the Festivus dinner, you gather your family around and tell them all the ways they have disappointed you over the past year.
The airing of grievances is easily the most popular event, and to be honest, most families already air grievances during family dinners.
I got a lot of problems with you people. Now, you're gonna hear about it.
Decorating for Festivus is uniquely easy.
And is there a tree? No, instead there's a pole. Requires no decoration.
Very few people remember the strike plot line in the original episode, but plenty remember Festivus. It has been celebrated on December 23rd, often with tongue firmly in cheek, by Seinfeld fans for decades.
Happy Festivus! Happy Festivus!
Well, happy Festivus!
Happy Festivus, Georgie.
It's time to get your Festivus pole and prepare for your feats of strength.
Festivus is back! I'll get the pole out of the crawl space.
I'm Kevin Carr.
America in the Morning for Tuesday, December 23rd, 2025 is produced by Jeff McKay. I'm John Trout. This is Westwood One.